coming in at number 65, we have San Francisco 49ers left tackle, new left tackle, I should say, Trent Williams. And, Trent's a really interesting guy to kind of evaluate and rank because obviously he sat out last season. He did not play. He had that entire weird situation, I'll call it, in Washington where, all of a sudden there was a growth on his head that the trainer said wasn't serious. Turns out it's cancerous, potentially dangerous. He gets it removed. He was obviously quite upset with the team, was going to sit out at one point. Then he ultimately did try to come back, failed his physical because the helmet, the way it was scratching on that area that he had to get removed, it was just uncomfortable, just a whole weird scenario. And then obviously he requested trade. They granted to him. John Lynch and the 49ers, they see an opportunity with Joe Staley having just retired, and they go out and snag him for a 5th and a 3rd round pick. And if this is pre-2019 Trent Williams that they're getting in San Francisco, he's most certainly better than the 65th player in the NFL. This man, he's a 7-time Pro Bowler. He's a 1-time second-team All-Pro, and honestly, he's one of the best tackles that I've seen in my entire lifetime, if we're being completely honest. The only question is, where is that level of play now? So you might see some guys higher than him on the list at that tackle position, even that, normally we wouldn't say are better than Trent. Say Mitchell Schwartz, say Lane Johnson. The only thing is, I don't have question marks about those guys coming into this season. And, on a list where I'm not projecting and guessing how they're going to do, I'm just evaluating them based on, what we've seen to this point and kind of ranking them from there. If you want to hear me go more in depth about my criteria, click the link above my head. But, with that being said, it's tough to put those guys below someone that we haven't seen play in over a year. And, having myself in college, I've suffered injuries and, I just sit out for 18 months at one point. It's like when you come back, it feels like you're a whole different player, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worst. And, for Trent, I hope it's for the better. And if it is, he's going to shoot up this list. And if you did watch this past Sunday in his debut, he certainly looked like old Trent Williams. Well, if that continues, most certainly in future iterations of this list, he'll skyrocket back up and he'll return as one of the best 1-2 tackles in the NFL. First things first, in terms of, what makes Trent so special to me, you've got to start with his length. And when I say length in reference to offensive tackles, I'm not saying that you have to have long arms to be good. That's not even necessarily what I'm talking about here with Trent. He has 34.25 inch arms, which they're slightly above average for the position, but I feel like so many people think that long arms equals good tackle, and that's just not the case at all, right? And I'm not even talking about Trent's arm length necessarily here. What I'm saying is his ability to use the length that he has to keep defenders at bay, and he does a beautiful job at really refusing to let guys get close and get in his chest. He does such a great job at just stabbing those hands and really forcing defenders to just kind of round the pocket and never really get anywhere close to his quarterback, right? So here you're going to see him against a couple of guys in these 3 clips. First one, Olivier Vernon. Watch how initially they're going to lock up. He's going to take his hands off, and when he replaces them, look at how he just does a great job at keeping Olivier an arm's length away. That's exactly what we're talking about here, and you're going to see it. There's the initial punch. Now look at how when he replaces his hands, how he does such a great job of utilizing all 34.25 inches, right? Let's see. Look at how Olivier, he has nowhere to go. He can't get in Trent's chest. He can't do anything. And as a result, there's a touchdown off the back of it. Just a great play that's brought on by Trent's ability to really just time that punch up perfectly and utilize his arm length to its fullest, right? Next up, here's another one, this time Randy Gregory. And essentially it's going to be the exact same thing. Just watch how once he times this punch, how he does a great job at keeping Gregory out of his chest and just so far away from Randy Gregory here. I mean, he initially is rushing with a plan. We assume, we hope, maybe he's not. We don't even know at this point. But look at how Trent does such a great job at, timing that punch and never letting Gregory get even close to him. Because once you kind of let that space go away when you're pass blocking, that's when defenders can beat you. Well, Trent, he does such a great job at just never allowing them to collapse that space, that you see plays like, I guess, that touchdown, not necessarily this play. The problem is, as an offensive lineman, there's 4 other guys that got to do their job as well. But on this play, Trent certainly was one of those guys, and blocks like that'll eventually lead to some big plays, right? Here's one more, this time against the Panthers, Mario Addison. You're going to see, again, just watch how the long arms stabs him in there, uses them to really his fullest potential, I guess you could say. I don't really know the word I'm looking for, but just look at how he just stabs him in, keeps Mario always really, what do you want to say that is? 2 yards away from him. Whereas, say, look at number 73 here, right? That defensive tackle, he's right in his grill. If he isn't able to flop an anchor here, this defensive lineman could technically just probably bull rush him into Alex Smith. Well, Trent, he's not in that position at all, because he's, again, just fending those guys off with those long arms and keeping them at bay the entire time, to where, he's trying to, create a bridge with this left arm, and it's just not going to work because Trent's too long for that. As a result, get the pass off. Unfortunately, it's incomplete, but hey, that's what it's like when you're playing for the football team. And next up, what I wanted to talk about was Trent's physicality. As this man just has the mindset that he is going to try and absolutely punish anybody who lines up across him on a play-to-play, week-to-week basis, right? And it's one thing to have that length. Well, it's another thing to be able to use that length to your advantage and punish these guys. And that's exactly what you're going to see here on these next two plays, both in the run game, where this time it's going to be Trent Williams lined up against Kareem Martin of the Giants. And look at how just once Trent gets that inside hand on Kareem, how he's just able to leverage him outside and do so just so violently. And, again, if those other four offensive linemen were able to do their job, this has a big rip written all over it, right? Because he just creates so much horizontal movement there with that strong, firm inside right hand that essentially he washes Kareem Martin out of the play, and he's doing a twirl. I don't know what he's doing, but he's not making the tackle, right? And that's going to happen a lot when you're going up against Trent Williams. I guess just ask Mario Addison, right? As here's another perfect example on another zone running play. You're going to see Trent just, again, post up that inside hand and leverage Addison outside to the point where he's not even on the screen anymore. And that's saying something when he's lined up right on the hash to end up off the camera lens because Trent Williams is coming in with that strong, firm inside hand. That's a tough break for not only Mario or Kareem, but anybody lining up against Trent on a week-to-week basis. And in what might be the most obvious statement of 2020, man, Trent Williams is strong, right? And of course, every NFL offensive lineman is strong, but Trent Williams, he's a different breed, we'll just say, right? As this play might not be the best one to illustrate. I just liked it because he climbs up to the second level, and look at how easily he's able to just push Deion Buchanan 4 or 5 yards in the air out of the play, and then play some bumper cards with the defensive end to get him out of the play as well. It's just freakish stuff, right? And if you want to talk about freakish, I don't know if you guys have seen the video of him from a couple years back, like doing pull-ups with 90 pounds hanging from him, plus the 320 that he weighed at the time. It's like, who can do pull-ups with just 400 pounds so seamlessly as Trent Williams? I'm sure there's some guys, but I know I can't. That's all I'm going to say. I know I can't. I know there's a bunch of tackles in the NFL who can't as well, right? And, here's just another example, getting a little bit more specific. I want to talk about just his upper body strength, right? As you're going to see him going up against number 57 here of the Saints. And initially, he's going to kind of overset a little bit to where 57 is going to try and take it under, up and under him into the B gap, essentially. And what I want you to see is how Trent is just able to just kind of stick that right hand in and deny him any access to that gap, even though initially with his feet, Trent's kind of beat, right? So look at how he oversets, is kind of sloppy on the footwork, and then just sticks that right hand in there, stops that defensive end in his tracks, and then just tosses him, ragdolls him back outside where he belongs. It's just plays like these that are so impressive because, as an offensive lineman, it's kind of your dream just to be able to put guys where you want them, right? That's exactly what any offensive line coach will ask you to do on every play. And Trent, he's an absolute savant and expert at that, as you can see in large part due to that upper body strength. I mean, being able to stop a 250-pound guy just with one hand and then chucking him, that's freakish stuff. Well, that's Trent Williams in a nutshell, right? And next up, I know I already kind of talked a little bit about Trent's power at the point of attack when referencing his physicality, but man, it must be wonderful for offensive coordinators with Trent Williams on their team to know, like, hey, if I want to, I can probably pound it in this B gap or outside in that C gap all day long because, man, there's very few guys better at that point of attack than Trent Williams. And that's what you're going to see here, where he's lined up going up against Pro Bowler, All-Pro defensive lineman Jarrell Casey, who he's known as being a premier run stopper. Look at how Trent is just able to, again, leverage that strong inside hand and stop any attempts by Casey to penetrate and kind of collapse that hole behind him. And AP, as a result, he's just able to bang it back on this little counter play on that cut back, in which, hey, there's a big first down gain off the back of Trent just being able to, again, leverage that firm, strong inside hand, that upper body strength, get Jarrell Casey out of the play, for a huge first down. And here's another one. This time it's going to be going up against Taco Charlton, formerly of the Cowboys, obviously back in 2018 when this film is from. And you're going to see the ball here doesn't go right in Trent's gap because kind of a suspect pull. But if it did, man, Trent's man Taco, he's off the screen. And I'll play it back for you guys one more time. Just look at, again, the forcefulness in being able to leverage that hand inside, get that defender, completely displace him from his gap, right? And then he goes back for seconds. He's pushing him again outside the frame. And if we had just a little bit better of a pull there, this again might be a big play. And so many of those plays behind Trent Williams are because he is just one of the league's best run blockers by far. Don't think for a second, though, that just because he's a great run blocker means that he's not a great pass blocker. He's even better as a pass blocker, in my opinion. I mean, if you want to use PFF and their statistics, according to them, he's allowed 5 sacks in his last 3,125 offensive snaps played. That's absolutely insane. So that's 2015, 16, 17, and 18, 5 sacks. And a lot of it to me is because of his footwork. He is just so smooth working in and out of his pass sets and just kind of mirror and matching opposing defensive linemen that I don't know how you're supposed to beat him. Honestly, if we're being frank, I just don't see what you're supposed to do. And here, the Saints defensive coordinator, he's going to try and dial up a twist right towards Trent to try and beat him, right? And look at how Trent just so fluidly reacts. He's going to kick out. Then once he sees Davenport is coming inside, he's gonna work back inside, power step down, and then he's gonna recognize that, hey, once the left guard picks up Davenport, he can work back out. When somebody's going away, somebody else is almost always coming. Here comes Cam Jordan over the top. Let me play it back for you guys while I'm talking about it. Look at how just the kick slide, boom, leads with his feet in for the power step. I know as an offensive lineman myself, I can tell you that so many times when you see somebody going to put a foot in the ground and cut it up and go for an inside move, so many times players react with their upper body first, right? And they're going to start lunging and leaning, and ultimately they're going to get beat more often than not. Well, Trent, he does a great job at reacting with his feet and mirroring Davenport, not with his hands and his upper body, but with his lower body. That allows him to cover up that space, get rid of any potential gap there between he and the left guard. And then, once he bumps Davenport to the left guard, he's able to kick back out and easily cover up Cam Jordan as well. Just an absolutely beautiful job defending this twist and ultimately getting a first down off the back of it there by Trent. And here's another just beautiful example of Trent's elite footwork in action, right? You're going to have him as well as the rest of this Redskins offensive line defending a 3-man twist towards Trent's side, right? So what you're going to have is Jihad Ward and Kamoko Toure, the 3-tech and defensive end, to Trent's side. They're both going to be slanting to their inside. So Ward, he's going to go to A gap. Toure, he's going to go to B gap. And ultimately, you're going to have Marcus Hunt here, the 3 technique on the opposite side. He's going to be looping around. Watch how Trent, he just does a beautiful job of, hey, he's going to kick slide out. Once he recognizes that Toure, he's going to try and take this inside. Look at how just smooth he is in his transitions from that kick slide to power step. And again, he just cuts off any potential for penetration. And once he feels that left guard taking that block over, he's gonna be able to kick slide back out and so easily just block Marcus Hunt and cover up this twist. They're gonna see there's the slant, there's him working back out and just smooth. I don't know a better word to describe it than smooth. I'll run it back for you guys one more time. Look at how there's the reaction, the feet, the hands, the eyes, everything is just perfectly in sync. As again, he just is so well in tune to what the defense is doing, and he just has the perfect body and the perfect mind to really react and defeat stunts like that, where a lot of other offensive linemen, even in the NFL, I mentioned college, in the NFL, you see so many guys get beat on stunts like that. Week 1 just happened a few days ago, and of course we, because of COVID, stuff was a little more sloppy than usual, but I could probably pull up 10 clips of guys getting beat on similar stunts. Well, Trent, that barely ever happens. As I said, 5 sacks in the last 3,125 snaps. It's just absolutely ridiculous, and so much of it is due to his footwork. And kind of coming off of his footwork, just for one quick slide, I want to talk about Trent's ability to anchor and recover, because not always are you going to be in that perfect position where everything was so in tune as they were on those last 2 snaps. Sometimes a defensive lineman, as you have here, Chandler Jones, we all know how good he is. He's going to get into Trent's chest, and for a moment, it looks like he's going to have the upper hand here. He's going to potentially get a sack on Alex Smith. But look at how Trent, he's able to anchor and then ultimately recover, in which he's going to turn what is supposed to be a pass block essentially into a run block, as he's going to motor Chandler down the kind of the offensive line, I guess we'll say, down the line of scrimmage, and put him on his back. And we'll play that back one more time, because a lot of people might think that this is an illegal block in some way, but it's as clean as can be, right? What you're going to have is, boom, off the snap. Look at how he thinks that Chandler is going to go for a speed rush. That's why he's turning his hips, kind of opening up towards the sidelines, which, if you've watched any of my other offensive lineman videos, I've talked about, why you shouldn't be doing this, because you're just opening the door for guys to come up and under in that B gap. But look at how Trent, he's able to recognize that. He's able to anchor once Chandler does. Instead of going into B gap, he's going to go just straight for a bull rush, as he notices that Trent's feet are kind of hanging in the air for a little bit. Here, I'll play it back just a second. So he recognizes, hey, I'm going to try and go through Trent Williams. Obviously, against a lot of tackles, as we know, with Chandler Jones, given his history, he's going to have a video in the future, most definitely. A lot of guys, they're gonna be able to win on this type of rush. So look at how Trent, he's able to just so easily sink his hips, sink his ankles, recover, and then ultimately he's going to get those hands, keep him inside Chandler, and again motor him down the line of scrimmage as if this is a run block, to allow Alex Smith the ability to scramble to the outside, and then boom, there's Jordan Reed coming across the middle, and there's a first down, where against most tackles for Chandler Jones, that's a sack, and that's a turnover on downs, or a fourth down, whatever you want to call it. That's just a great play by Trent in his ability to, when things aren't going perfect off the snap, to make it go about as good as possible and close out the play with another win. And next up, one thing that I did want to touch on was Trent's hand usage. And, this isn't hands in a prototypical sense in terms of, the power, the punch, the length, etc. What I want to talk about here is Trent's kind of mental ability to use his hands as a part of the chess match that ultimately is an offensive lineman going up against a defensive lineman, right? So, so often you see guys just kind of get in a monotonous routine of, okay, I'm going to throw my hands on my third step, my fourth step, etc. I'm going to throw my hands when he gets to this certain point on the field, when he hits this landmark, etc. And it's just kind of that same thing over and over and over. Well, Trent, he doesn't do that. He's playing a mind game, a mental mind game with you on every snap. He's going to keep you guessing for, is he going to short set you? Is he going to throw the hands early? Is he going to wait? And is he going to kind of let you get upfield before he really gets them into you and kind of lets you round the hoop? Well, this is a player. What you're going to see is he's going to kind of fake throw this left hand, get Clay Matthews to kind of stutter for a second, kind of hesitate, and then once he does that, he exposes his chest, and Trent's able to get an easy win. Let me play it for you guys and stop talking about it so much. Here you're going to see there's the quick little I don't even know what you want to call it. It's almost like a pump fake in basketball, right? Where you pump up, the defender jumps, and then you either get a foul or you're able to get a better, higher quality shot. Well, that's exactly what Trent Williams is doing here, right? He's throwing that hand, faking that hand to get a better, higher quality punch. Ultimately, when he does throw them, as they're just going to see the length, he puts all into play, keeps Clay Matthews at an arm's length, and ultimately Alex Smith is allowed and able to scramble around the outside and pick up some yards on the ground. Just plays like that are so impressive because, after watching so many of these offensive linemen, you very rarely see guys changing up their pass sets. It's just like it's a pitcher who's using a fastball every single play. Well, Trent Williams, he's not afraid to throw a changeup, a splitter, a curveball every now and then, just to keep you off balance and as a defender. And ultimately that just leads to so many easy wins for him. And here's another just great example where, what you're going to see is him on this pass set against Jabal Sheard of the Indianapolis Colts. What you're going to see is he's going to kind of fake with that left hand, throw with that left hand, in which he's going to get Sheard to, you can visibly see his entire body halts, and like he's anticipating that punch that Trent packs on a play-to-play basis. And look at how he just pulls up with his body once Trent tosses that left hand out there. And as a result, as a defensive lineman, you're taught to, get hands off. So many times when an offensive lineman goes to throw, you're going to see them trying to swat those hands away, do something with their hands to counteract them. Well, when he fakes with that left hand, defensive linemen, they're kind of all out of whack, because as you see, he was already trying to get back. He was kind of getting in a position to potentially swat those hands away. And as a result, once he kind of stands straight up, he gives Trent his chest, and then boom, there's the length. And ultimately that's about as easy of a win as you get if you're Trent Williams. And so much of it is, again, just because of that kind of mental chess game that he's playing with opponents on a play-to-play basis, and kind of the manipulation that he's able to do on these opposing defensive linemen simply with his hands. And with Trent, kind of hand in hand, when you smash the elite footwork in with that mental processing ability, you just have a guy who's so quick and so easily able to change directions and react to what opposing D linemen are doing. That's exactly what you're going to have here. As look at him going against Nick Perry. Look at how Perry, he's going to take one step upfield and try and come inside, shoot this B gap here. Look at how Trent, again, you just see the hands, you see the feet, you see the head. They're all in order here. And what's Trent going to do? Just like he did on that play against Chandler Jones, he's going to turn the pass block into essentially a run block. As look at how he's able to collapse this potential rushing lane here that Perry has towards Alex Smith, as ultimately he's able to just motor him down the line of scrimmage, get him out of the play, keep the pocket clean, and hey, there's Vernon Davis for a huge gain. Just plays like that are so impressive because, again, when most tackles kind of open up their hips a little bit towards the sidelines and they give up that inside move, a lot of guys, they're out of the play. It's a sack. The down's over. Well, Trent Williams, he's just so in tune to, hey, he knows when I do start to open up, I am giving up that inside lane. So what do I have to do? I have to be prepared and fully ready to react to that. And he's just so quick and so able to do so that, hey, he keeps his quarterbacks clean the vast majority of the time. And as we kind of get out of reactionary quickness, I just want to talk about Trent's quickness in general, right? As he's the embodiment of athleticism at that left tackle position. There's very few, if any, guys who I can think of off the top of my head who are just better athletes and really more mobile guys in space when it comes to either pulling, trapping, climbing to the second level. He does it all, and he does it all just so well, right? And on this play, we're going to have a toss to the left, or what I want you to see is just how beautiful this pull here is by Trent, which he's able to just drive Janoris Jenkins into the turf and lead the way for a first down. And what I do want to show you guys on this play first is, you might be saying, hey, well, why didn't he block this end man on the line of scrimmage? Well, one thing that I've personally been taught by my coaches here is, hey, if you can get around it, the running back can as well. If you're 320 plus pounds, if you can get around it, definitely think that the running backs can as well. So he lets that first guy go, and ultimately Chris Thompson, he is going to be able to take the edge here around him. And hey, look at that. He's able to then go clean up the next guy. He's gonna just jam Janoris Jenkins right into the turf. He's gonna have to change a mouth guard after that probably, because it's all filled with turf pellets, no doubt, right? And again, just a first down, just a great play all off the back of Trent's mobility. And even if he did stop and block that first guy, it still would have been a pretty solid play, but just even better because his ability to get around that first guy, which means Thompson most likely can as well, go up, clean up Janoris, and lead the way for the first down. Just so impressive. And here's another just beautiful example here where, again, a very similar toss play out to the left. And, unfortunately, I couldn't quite tell what number he ends up wiping off the face of the earth here, whether that was Chidobe Awuzie, Xavier Woods, Kevon Frazier, Jordan Lewis. I don't know who it was. All I know is that they woke up that next morning feeling very sore, because when you're 180, 200, even 220-pound defensive back in the NFL, you're not used to getting absolutely bulldozed by a 320-pound mammoth like Trent Williams. But hey, it happens there. He had number 17 blocking him a little bit. He probably thought that was enough, and then wham, out of nowhere comes the old Trent Williams. And when he's coming, you should probably get out of the way, if we're being completely honest, because more often than not, that's going to happen to you. And that's tough. And finally, the last kind of thing that I wanted to talk about here was just his ability to climb to the second level and pick off these linebackers and safeties on various running plays, as he's one of the league's best at it, no doubt. Here you're going to have a run by the Redskins, or the football team, I guess now, out to this right edge. What you're going to see is Trent working up on the backside here to where he's able to just so easily put himself in a perfect position to block Jalen Smith and cut off any potential for him running this play down from the backside. And if you watched my Jalen Smith video, if you've watched any of my linebacker videos, really, you know that so many of these top linebackers in the league, this is where they're making their money, because a lot of times they're quicker, they're faster, they have the acceleration to beat this offensive lineman to the spot, and as a result, they're going to just scrape over top of all these other blocks and kind of meet the running back off this right edge. Well, what happens when you're going up against Trent? Trent's just so fast. He's so quickly able to fly up to the next level that look at how he's intercepting Jalen, forcing him to just bubble upfield, and before they really even get into each other, they're already at the 40-yard line, in which he's going to end up forcing Jalen to kind of try and go backdoor, and it just doesn't work, right? Jalen Smith, he's nowhere near this play when on most plays, if you have watched Jalen Smith film, you know that these are plays that he makes on a consistent week in and week out basis. Well, luckily for him, he doesn't have to go against big number 71 that much anymore. I guess it was 2 times a year. Now it's potentially once, but luckily he's not going up against guys like this on a weekly basis, because if he was, then his job would be a lot harder, because this man right here, he's just absolutely elite when it comes to climbing to that second level and making blocks like that. And lastly, here's one final example of him just climbing up to that second level, and you just see the acceleration, you see the quickness, you see the strength once he gets there, once he engages, you see that power at the point of attack, in which this run, it's going to be Chris Thompson coming right towards Trent Williams. So watch how he's able to tempo up to the second level here. He knows Chandler Jones. He crosses his face inside. Well, hey, everybody's zone stepping with that left foot. He trusts that left guard's going to be there. He is. As a result, he keeps on working up, and ultimately he's going to intercept old Deion Buchanan for, I guess, the second time in this video, and again have him eating pellets off the turf, as that's just tough if you're Deion, but it's really tough if you're Washington, because you're definitely going to miss having plays like these where, this play is really made by Trent Williams. If he whiffs on this block right there, boom, Deion Buchanan is able to tackle Chris Thompson in the backfield for -2 yards, right? Well, when you have that 7-time All-Pro, or 7-time Pro Bowler, I should say, if he was a 7-time All-Pro, but 7-time Pro Bowler, when you have that guy anchoring that backside, it would do so much for Dwayne Haskins, but it would also do so much for these various running backs. And unfortunately for Washington, they're not going to have that anymore. But luckily for San Francisco, in Joe Staley's kind of absence, they are going to have it. And I think that he'll definitely be an upgrade. We'll just say that for San Fran. Even as good as Joe Staley was, he's a potential Hall of Famer. If we're being completely honest, I would probably say he's going to miss out, but his name's definitely in that hat. Well, Trent, he's an upgrade on that, right? And that's exactly what you see here, because if we thought they were good at running the ball and keeping Jimmy G clean in 2019, I'm very excited to see Trent with them in 2020 as they look to make a potential return to the Super Bowl, and maybe this time get it done. And speaking of get it done, that's actually all I got for you guys today. That's the end of the video. I know I kept you guys forever, but hey, it was the return. It was the first top 100 video I've came at you guys with in quite a long time. So I did hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, leave a comment down below. If you agreed with the evaluation of Trent, if you didn't agree, just let me know down below in the comment section. And if you did enjoy the video, if you're a fan of any of the 32 NFL teams, make sure you subscribe. Every team here has a player or two, or in some cases 5 or 6. They have players in this top 100 series. If you potentially missed out on some of the guys from your favorite team, I'll make sure to have the playlist linked on the screen. Click on that. I'm sure there'll be some players that you'd find interesting there, whether just their ranking or the evaluation, or anything, whether it's just kind of learning what makes them so special and what makes them so good. And if your team hasn't had representation yet, trust me, they will, because we still have 64 more videos left. I'm going to try and pump those guys out to you as fast as I possibly can. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'm mic'd up, and I'm mic'ing out. Peace, guys.